Alright, to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. By 6 o'clock, it's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us. Our major stories right away. It's already 16 years since Cameroonians took to the streets across the national territory to decry the high cost of living. 16 years later, the situation seems to have moved from bad to worse. We bring to you details of what obtains in Cameroon in relation to the economy in this edition of the news. And over 60 persons have been killed in a mosque in Burkina Faso during a prayer session. Viewers, those are our main stories. Details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin with the increase in the price of taxi fare in Cameroon. The increase in the price of fuel has led to the hike in transport costs. This follows an official release published that was on Monday by the Minister of Trade, an information that took a little or no time to be applied, as most travel agencies have already made public their new prices. Our reporter Mala Glory visited some travel agencies. Yarin Douala, she now tells us more.
Agencies operating travel services between Douala and Yaoundé have announced updated fares for their routes. Normal bus fares are set at 4,000 francs CFA.
When they told me that the money I had to pay was 4,000, it was shocking to me.
While VIP services range between 7,000 and 8,000 francs CFA. However, commuters traveling from the littoral region to the west region have experienced fare increase exceeding government stipulations, reaching at 3,500 francs CFA. According to a manager from one of the agencies, these price hikes are attributed to the deteriorating condition of roads in the west region, leading to increased vehicle damage, as well as frequent police checkpoints along the road. The new fares does not really help us that much with all the expenses we have at hand. We have taxes, numerous police control, and the bad state of the road. And we have employers to settle their salaries. You cannot imagine that. After every journey, the driver takes the vehicle for maintenance, so all that is much for us. Despite these adjustments, passengers have expressed dissatisfaction with the recent fare increase, suggesting that the government could take measures to address the situation more effectively. With 150 francs increase, the agency should at least increase the fares to 3,500 and not 4,000 francs. In response to mounting complaints from Cameroonian citizens, there are heightened expectations regarding whether the government will undertake appropriate actions to alleviate the situation and enhance the quality of life for its citizens.
And now we continue talking about the high cost of living in Cameroon. It's exactly 16 years since Cameroonians took to the streets to decry the high cost of living across the national territory. Today, 16 years ago, that is February 28, 2008, Cameroonians got up with a disturbing account of a nationwide unrest of February 2008. The nationwide protest demonstration referred to as hunger strike of 2008 was characterized by burnings, destruction, and killings, while the government of Cameroon later announced 24 deaths. That was in the month of March. Precisely on the 5th, international media organs reported close to 200 deaths. For me, Armstrong Sander takes us back to February 2008.
In 2008, the general uprising began with a general discontent provoked by the rise in fuel prices. Taxi drivers, commercial motorbike riders, and other transporters got to filling stations to discover with great astonishment that fuel and gas prices had increased in a kind of clandestine manner. Tension began rising, given that at that time households in Cameroon were already feeling the pinch of the high cost of living, characterized by a general economic crisis. The hardship was evident, and transporters began issuing strike notices. They promised to take to the street if nothing was done on February the 25th, 2008. After 2 weeks of negotiations, the government of Cameroon failed to give in. Yaoundé maintained the fuel prices and the anger of transporters doubled across the country. In addition to the vexing fuel price increase was an imminent increase in the price of bread, which increased anger, expanding the unrest. February the 26th, 2008 was the start of the strike action nationwide. The machine was launched and could no longer be stopped. Young people were on the streets and marched with anger, breaking and burning. The city of Douala was in a lockdown. The news spread like wildfire and set other districts of the city of Douala ablaze. Bonaberi, Bepanda, Newbel, Makia, Besenge, Bilonge and others went burning. Young people barricaded public roads and set fire to wheels in the middle of the road. Douala is under tension. The flames and the anger immediately caught other towns and cities in Cameroon, with Yaoundé, Bamenda, Bafoussam, Limbe, Boya, Loum, Jombe, Penja, Bafang and other localities totally engulfed. Today and now in Cameroon, Cameroonians are faced with a generalized hike in the prices of goods and services provoked by fuel prices increased earlier this year. Added to the generalized hardship is a vexing and devastating epileptic electricity supply across Cameroon.
And now we talk about the crises in the northwest and southwest regions. Now we bring to you accounts of terror, desperation unfolding in villages of Upper Banyang in the southwest region of the country. Our reporter Stella met with some victims who were fleeing from Widikum in the northwest region and compared their stories in the report which comes up next.
Residents of Upper Banyang in the southwest region of Cameroon are fleeing their homes to escape the brutal grip of a separatist group led by the notorious Ako Giant. Reports of killings, rapes and threats of violence haunt these villages.
When he see you, as he talks, say you be on, saying you be a woman, he take you. You know go talk nothing. He the report are picking them. So woman we do with belly. We be romance for born. Ako Giant sleep and so te we group. You can come out die. The mommy to die. It worry me no. It pain me.
The group demands 5 million francs CFA from each village, threatening to burn homes and chop off limbs if not paid. Many have fled, leaving children behind.
I get 9 picking them. I also see bring 7. So too they see there for bush my husband. Therefore, so population therefore inside forest. Some of them need to see. So one day na mommy the way they not even be able to work. So one a cripple. I think that will come also. They so far don't too much.
These ones are in Widikum subdivision, but there are many others still trapped in the bushes as bullets fly over their heads.
I want to reassure them that all the measures are ongoing in order to send them back in their various homes safely in the near future.
While benefiting gifts comprising mainly of foodstuffs and mattresses from the head of state Paul Biya, the displaced villagers thanked the authorities but said their joy is bittersweet.
We no get roads, we no get bridge, and if that no the Akoja anytime we got the worry we because when they don't be all that in them, it not be able for camp.
So I want them to help. We are not putting all the people will die for 15 minutes. They will die.
The plight of these ones from Upper Banyang sheds light on the ongoing challenges in Cameroon's troubled Anglophone regions, where violence and instability have become all too common.
In other news, officials of the National Association of Promoters of Cosmetic Products have frowned at the owner of an alleged illegal cosmetic company operating in Dogbong, here in Douala, in the Douala 5 subdivision, precisely who denied them access into their production sites during an operation. Accompanied by agents from the Ministry of Trade, the officials of the Cosmetic Association were annoyed after a top official based in Douala called to stop the said operation. Smart Dikan Gabriel with the details.
At a private residence where an illegal company that manufactures cosmetic products was discovered in Dogbong, Douala 5 subdivision, agents from the Ministry of Trade and those from the National Association of Promoters of Cosmetic Products were denied access in the presence of the forces of law and order. The operation came after numerous complaints at the Ministry of Trade. Our objective is not to bring down an enterprise. We had received complaints from people around who informed us about contraband goods manufactured here, but also I was told the owner didn't respect the ethics of the profession as she manufactures goods and put on them made in Pakistan or Egypt. Even though the products are suspected to be manufactured illegally in Cameroon, sad enough, on the cartons it's written made in Thailand. The officials who were denied access into the company frowned at the workers who denied letting them in. We see this as illegal and an opposition against us, owing to the fact that the workers inside denied opening the door for us. The incident at this alleged illegal cosmetic company won't lie low. I will drop a petition to all of the administration who had signed an agreement with me, President Kemfak, and will drop another at the presidency of the Republic. Nobody can fight the state. We didn't come here to seal the place, but we accompany the state to sensitize actors in this sector of activity. It was thanks to a call from a top official in the littoral region that this operation was brought to an abrupt end. Affair swift.
Martinez Zugu affair seems to be gradually moving towards the culminating point. The lawyers of the slain journalist family says the prosecution has significantly advanced in the past 2 months. One of the steps taken forward in the case is the change in the charges levied against the accused. Babila Jonathan has details.
Torture and complicity in torture to capital murder and complicity in capital murder. The Martinez Zugu affair is on the track of new charges against the accused.
From the beginning to now, there were a lot of proof that we are not only in application of torture. This case is really about assassination of Martinez Zugu.
With the new Yaoundé military court judge, Pierrot Narcisse, the case takes the capital murder twist.
Regarding the fact, regarding the people who were arrested, and regarding the new facts, he found the public prosecutor asked the judge to go to the qualification of capital murder for the five people he's specifically noted in this requisition.
Martinez Zugu family lawyer Barrister Calvin Job acknowledges recent changes and progress in the prosecution with military judge Pierrot Narcisse, but does not trust the country's judicial system.
Frankly, I'm not really confident about the fact that justice will be done in this case. But I am confident about the fact that at the end of the day, at the end of the prosecution, or at the end of the instruction, we will also have a judgment who can recognize that Martinez Zugu was assassinated.
Whatever the case, a verdict is awaited at the end of the tunnel.
And now we talk about environmental protection. Douala city dwellers have been experiencing severe heat recently due to increased temperatures since the start of the dry season. Meteorologists said forest conservators attribute this to several factors, including urbanization, industrialization, and most specifically deforestation. All these were highlighted during a workshop which took place in Douala recently. Let's now have more with Innocent Aze.
Though several factors like urbanization, industrialization account for the increased temperature rates in the city of Douala, experts in forestry reserve highlight deforestation as a principal factor, emphasizing the important role forest plays to curb global warming and desertification.
For our forests, globally and in the Congo Basin, the threats to forests are increasing dramatically as we speak.
knowing the important role and the specific role that the Congo Basin forests are playing in terms of mitigating those effects of the climate change.
Meeting in Douala, Cameroon, delegates from the 6 countries making up the Central Africa Forest Commission, COMIFAC, and the Worldwide Fund for Nature stressed on environmental protection and conservation of the Congo Basin forest, which could mitigate global warming in cities.
We need to do more to help. This conference is really thinking about how to do that together with WWF, with COMIFAC, with the country representatives, and who else is needed to be part of that conversation.
COMIFAC and the Worldwide Fund for Nature indicate that if the Congo Basin was fully funded like the Amazon and the Borneo-Mekong Southeast Asia basins, the overall objectives would have been achieved.
4% compared to the 3 other basins, we think that more can be done.
We want to increase the financial flow for the Congo Basin, and in order to support conservation and the preservation of the Congo Basin forest, very, very important for the implementation of the Paris Agreement for climate change, and also for the global biodiversity framework adopted in Montreal during the COP15 of the Biodiversity Convention.
Both COMIFAC and WWF are also reflecting on how to organize a national workshop to present their initiatives at the national level and other countries of the Congo Basin, with hope to garner sufficient funds for forest conservation.
And now, can you stay a day without using Facebook? Today has been commemorated as an International Day Without Facebook. Staying a day without using Facebook seems to be a daunting task for many Cameroonians, given that the platform plays a vital role in their lives due to addiction to this platform. A day without Facebook was instituted on February 28. Immaculate Fogwe got the views of some Cameroonians in relation to their Facebook usage.
Celebrated every February 28th, World Day Without Facebook is an initiative to help fight against addiction to the social network. The promoters are denouncing the lack of respect of private information and many other aspects. According to some Cameroonians, it is practically impossible for them to stay for a day without using Facebook.
I can't imagine a day without using Facebook, because for individuals like myself and as well as businesses, we use Facebook as a platform for branding, and all our contents, all our online activities are geared towards either personal branding or organizational branding. And for most businesses or people who use the platform for marketing purposes, etc., it's inevitable, it's indispensable.
To Nakento Kenneth, the entire foundation of digital networking and relationship fostered by Facebook may not change overnight.
And having a day without Facebook, it's extremely difficult. I will have to maybe evaluate the losses in terms of the followers that I have, the content that I have to produce every day, and the people I have to reach out to, the people I have to respond to that message me, because of the products and services that we are offering. So,
however, Franklin Shubu has a contrary opinion, as he says for the past 2 weeks he has not been on Facebook.
I just opened my Facebook page again today after a period of 2 weeks, because I noticed that sometimes it really takes most of the time, and I have to make sure that I'm not addicted to it, or I'm not always trying to check my Facebook page. So sometimes I can even go for days or even weeks without checking my page.
Despite the numerous advantages outlined earlier, the social media platform is known to be the brain behind the spread of misinformation, hacking, and diminished real-world interaction.
Almost impossible for anyone to do without Facebook nowadays. Now we take you out of our national frontiers. At least 60 persons have died in the northern parts of Burkina Faso following an attack carried out by armed men in a mosque during a prayer session. And over to Senegal, the National Dialogue Commission has proposed the 2nd of June 2024 as the date of the next presidential election. This comes amidst tension and protests after President Macky Sall postponed the election to 2025. And in Chad, the election agency has announced the date for the upcoming presidential election, which will be done in 2 rounds. Lucy Liengu is here, compiled a foreign page roundup.
In Burkina Faso, dozens of civilians have lost their lives following an attack in a mosque. According to sources, the incident occurred during the early hours of Sunday when the Muslim faithful converged for morning prayers. The gunmen surrounded the mosque with hundreds of machine guns and opened fire on the people. On the same day, several persons were killed in a separatist attack on a Catholic church during a Sunday mass in northern Burkina Faso. And over to Senegal, the National Dialogue Commission has proposed holding the presidential elections on the 2nd of June 2024. The date proposal follows 2 days of dialogue organized by President Macky Sall. It was attended by civil, political and religious leaders aimed at fostering the trust between the candidates and the population. President Macky Sall said he will step down by April 2nd, which is the end of his current term, but it is unclear who will take over if elections are not held before that. The nation eagerly awaits the response of President Macky Sall to the proposals put forth by participants. The outcome of the dialogue is expected to pave the way for a transparent and inclusive electoral process. And in Chad, the election agency says the first round of the presidential poll is scheduled for May 6, followed by the second round on June 2022. The final list of the candidates will be published on March 2024, while campaigns will run from April 14 to May 14. The organization of the presidential election will mark the return of constitutional order in the Central African country.
So that does it for the first part of the news. Talking Point comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Song Derrick. He is an economist and also a civil society actor. Derrick, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Now, after the increase in the price of fuel, the government officially increased the price of transport costs, be it inter-urban or intra-urban transport costs. They have been increased. So taxi fare now is 350 francs, no longer 300 francs in Cameroon. As a Cameroonian, first of all, in this hard economy, how did you receive that piece of information?
Light at the end of the tunnel. I want to tell you, forget we are living in the area where a news sees the light every time. It's a sign that there is darkness in the tunnel. In fact, at the end of good evening, Anne Abila. Good evening to all the televiewers of Equinoxe TV. It's a pleasure to be here once again to talk about issues that affect the economy. The question of how one receives the news. This is ideal of Chinua Achebe's quote, "In things fall apart, the center can no longer hold." In fact, I received this news of increase in prices with a very sad feeling, given that the common man is going to pay the prices. The common man is going to pay the price for errors that are committed by its own government. It is sad, and we expected it that this is going to happen because we had earlier warned the government of Cameroon that an increment in the prices of fuel is an indirect increase in the prices of every other thing in the economy. We cannot play blind on that. So it was normal, even before the government came in to make these prices official at the level of this consumer protectionism. Individuals were already paying very hard because you do not expect that prices of fuel should increase from 730 to 860 at a time when perhaps motor users or car users are fueling perhaps 20 liters per day at the initial price, and they now fuel at a new price, and you expect them to look at you and not increase prices. It was but normal. Any logical person will increase the price. So I received it with a mixed feeling because I think that this country is gradually sinking. And if we are not careful, we will get up tomorrow and everybody will be fed up. And if they are fed up, if you push the people to the wall, they will react. I'm talking to this government and telling them that Cameroonians are tired. We are too blessed to be suffering because of a poor leadership system. You cannot explain that we have everything. We are living in an economy as if we are begging everything. This is why we keep saying that no good things can come out from a bad government. You don't expect good governance in a bad government. It is so sad, and it is something we must decry to the best of our ability and call those who are responsible to order that Cameroonians are suffering a lot, and these things need to change.
The song we noticed is that taxi drivers, some of them had already increased the price before the government's decision of Monday. Can we say this somehow influenced the decision of the Ministry of Trade and other ministries?
Yes, we are in a business world, and you should understand that the day that the government decided to increase fuel prices, it was but normal that every other thing will increase. So if the officials or car users or transporters had increased fares before this official notice, mind you, the government is coming here as a means of control. You know, when we know about basics of maximum and minimum pricing, the government is trying to fix a price here so that the transporter cannot go above that price. So when you say that some taxi drivers increase the price before now, you and I know. Assume that fuel was sold for 700 francs CFA, and a driver had to use 20 liters per day. That 20 liters per day is 14,000 francs. And if that price has to increase to 830 or 860, it is going to go to almost 17,000 francs. So you don't expect that the driver will go to the fuel station, have an increase in his pump price of maybe 3,000, and then will not try to get it back. Because at that level, mind you that every other part of the economy is affected. Mind you that every other thing, because a small businesswoman that used to pay let's say 500 francs from the cocoa with water leaf to come and sell at the rye market for 250, the person will now pay 600 or 700 francs to come, and then you end up buying that water leaf for say 400, 500. It's normal. It's a boomerang effect that is going to affect the whole economy. We do not have to doubt anything about that. So when the government increase the prices of fuel, the government is telling us straight to our faces that please, the cost of living will soon kill the living, because every other price will increase, everything being equal. It is not rocket science. It is basic economics that we practice every day. So, and like I said, my heart is heavy, but what are we going to say? At the level of the civil society, we only cry to the government because we think that this increment in the prices is only affecting the private individuals. It's affecting those who are working for the private sector, because at the end, the government has increased salaries by 5% for public workers. What happens to private workers? It's not going to be the same. They say they'll enter negotiation, and you know how long Cameroon negotiation takes. It's a sad situation, and we can only talk, but nothing can be done because we are not part of the decision.
And now, Derek, this question as an economist, how is this price hike going to adversely affect the purchasing power of an average Cameroonian?
Of how this will affect the purchasing power, it's very, we should not limit the effect of this price increase to only purchasing power. Mind you that disposable income is going to reduce drastically, and also the increase in the price of fuel is technically going to increase the cost of production. And when the cost of production is increased, this cost of production will be pushed to consumers. And the consumers are going to pay. It means the incidence of everything that the government is doing is going to rest on the final consumer. It is you and I that are going to be suffering because the government doesn't really care. We are talking about a situation of price hikes when the minimum wage rate is at 41,000. I heard recently, not yet proven, that it has been increased to 43,000. That's ridiculous. That's embarrassing. Mind you that this same price hikes in fuel can affect employment. When cost of production increase, given that producers always want to minimize costs, they might be forced to send some people packing in order to reduce their cost of production. It is a reality. And also note that this cost of production will increase and it will lead to increase in prices. Fuel not let aside. Whatever is happening, whatever we are saying, and the bottom line is this: the unemployed will be paying much. The private sector will be paying much because we know that the government has done a ridiculous 5% increase. In the 90s, you and I know that salaries were slashed by 50%. Today, we are begging for a meager increase of just something small. The government mocks the public sector with 5%. What are we going to do with 5% increase in salaries when just the transport cost of 300 to 350 is 16% increase? When the fuel percent increase is about 20%, what will 5% do to swallow up that? It is so sad, and I think that the effects are going to be huge in the economy, stemming from high cost of production, unemployment, to increase in the consumption level of households. And you know the effect when there is a decrease in the consumption of in the purchasing power of household. It is a boomerang effect that can lead to other devastating consequences in the economy if care is not taken.
Derek, thank you. But before we go, we just heard in the news that it's already 16 years since Cameroonians took to the streets to decry high cost of living that was across the national territory. 16 years later, as a Cameroonian, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel, or the tunnel is still getting very dark or darker?
Light at the end of the tunnel. I want to tell you, forget we are living in the area where a news seizes the light every time. It's a sign that there is darkness in the tunnel. In fact, at the end of the tunnel in Cameroon, there is no hope because we have a bad leadership. We have a leadership that does not concern or think about the common citizens. At the time and when the President of the Republic, in his end of year speech addressing the youth, tells us that we should stay in Cameroon, build Cameroon, construct Cameroon. Tell me, at a time when the cost of living is almost killing the living in Cameroon, are you sure Cameroonians will stay here? At a time when the president wants us to stay in the country and takes very good example of our famous Nganu, who succeeds. Unfortunately, he discourages us to stay in the country and use it as an example of somebody who did not succeed in this country. Are you sure with this cost of living, there is light at the end of the tunnel? Are you sure with this same leadership, with people who embezzle all money, are you sure there's light at the end of the tunnel? As a hopeful Cameroonian, I think we are only dreaming because when there is oxygen, as long as we breathe, we should dream for a better future. But with the present status quo, things will only get worse. That is what we see in a country whose leadership needs leading, whose leaders need help. That's what you see in a country that cannot teleguide anything Because we know that IMF, International Monetary Fund, is in this. Because Cameroon is heavily indebted. And if you ask, why is Cameroon heavily indebted? It is because of mismanagement, corruption, embezzlement of state funds that were to be harnessed to produce or to carry out productive activities that will build the economy and generate income. But people siphon them to their private pockets. And you ask me if there is light at the end of the tunnel? No, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. There is darkness. And thank God, Cameroonians are peace-loving people. If there is one thing we should appreciate about Cameroonians, is the fact that they love peace. 2008, when they went to the street because prices were high, because of hunger, today, the weight of debt is on our neck. We cannot breathe. It only takes time. And we are warning the government. Because we love the country, it's not because we are calling for riot. That they should buy a watch and keep it. Because in no distant time from now, when the stomach gets hungry, the streets will welcome the people if care is not taken.
Thank you so much, Song Derek, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Viewers, thank you for being with us. But before we go, just to let you know that the contract of Rigobert Song Bahana has not been renewed. His contract expired today, and it was revealed during a press conference that took place in Yaoundé a while ago, and was with the Minister for Sports and Physical Education, Dr. Narcisse Muele Kombi. We will be coming to that detailing in our subsequent news editions. Thank you again for always being with us. Our programs continue. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte. Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.